'Cause I'll be your friend, an ear I'll lend. I'll tell you time and time again, it's true.
Welcome back to our cosy, comfy corner of the world. I'm Amy, and if you're joining us for the first time today, welcome. You don't need to have heard previous episodes. We'll wander together from exactly where we are. Last time, Denise and I explored those moments when children's feelings are simply too big for words, and how our steady presence can hold what words cannot. We wondered about sitting alongside big feelings rather than rushing to fix them. Today, I want to gently take us into the space that follows those moments, because here's what I've noticed. Sometimes we can hold that steady space beautifully. But other times, we can't. Maybe we snap, walk away, try to shut it down. That's what we call rupture. And it's not a sign we failed. It's part of being human, part of being in relationship. What matters most is what comes next, repair. When we show our children that we can come back together after a wobble, that feelings and mistakes won't break us, we're teaching them a very powerful lesson about resilience and trust. And before we begin, I want to name something that sits with me each time we record. In these episodes together, there's so much we can't explore, so many nuances, so many what ifs, so many stories like yours that deserve more time and space. That incompleteness feels like it mirrors life itself, being mid-conversation with our children, holding partial understanding, believing that there's more beneath the surface. I feel that tension, wanting to give you everything, knowing that I can only offer gentle beginnings. If that feels frustrating, I get it. These conversations aren't meant to be complete, they're meant to be openings. My hope is that within them you find something to support you and your own family's unique story. So today, with Denise's help, we'll wonder about two things: how children express feelings without words, and how we, as their key grown-ups, can stay steady enough to hold them. And when we can't, how repair becomes the bridge back to connection. I'm so glad to have Denise back with us. Shall we begin, Denise? Lovely. So when children are expressing big feelings without words, I wanted to look at what we could do. Before I bring you in, Denise, I just wanted to share a few gentle starting points. For example, offering materials without expectation, whatever you have, paper and crayons, Play-Doh blocks, even pillows to rearrange. Not to make something specific, but to allow expression to flow in whatever form it needs. Maybe using validating phrases like, I can see this feels big for you, or your feelings make sense, even if we don't have words for them yet. Or something that you and I often speak about, Denise, about creating environmental safety, like a cozy corner, a favourite stuffed animal, dim lights. Sometimes the space itself communicates you're safe here. How to be present and not problem solving, such as sitting nearby or breathing slowly, somehow letting your presence say you're not alone. And then maybe gently asking, where do you feel this in your body? Though it's important to notice if this helps your child settle or makes things bigger. Some children can find it grounding, but others might need space from their body sensations for a bit. Trust what you notice. Remember, expression looks different for different children. Here we'll offer a few ideas and hope some help. Some children need movement, some need stillness. Some need to repeat familiar phrases or actions. What matters isn't the form, it's that there's space. And remember, you don't need to do all these things. Even one small act of presence can make a big difference. So Denise, I wanted to ask you, how do you see the power of presence compared with problem solving in these moments?
Well, I suppose when I think about it, I imagine being with a child or my loved one where they were struggling, they were distressed. I would recognise that every bone in my body would be like, I want to sort this out. I really want to help them. I want to come up with a solution. But what I do know is that jumping in with those solutions, trying to fix it, it shuts it down. It doesn't allow them that sort of opportunity to actually puzzle with it, and for me to puzzle with it. So I think what we do know is if we can open up conversations, that gives the child the opportunity to sit with you and explore. So in our world, Amy, we would call it creating the space between. And this is what we do to help people explore what's going on with their inside feelings and thoughts. And that's when you do that, you know it, don't you, Amy? You can get that feeling that there's a space between you and that person, that child. And inside that space, there's safety. And it's like, I suppose, like a vessel that, they can pour in their feelings and thoughts. And also creating that sort of safe space, this space between. I sort of imagine it sort of sat there as just a very safe place. But it allows us to be with our feelings and thoughts and check in with ourselves. So your child will feel that presence. They'll feel that sort of willingness and that lovely sense of safety, in that quietness. Because I guess what we know is that, our feelings can be muddly and our bodies and brains can feel muddly. But what helps us is to create that sort of calmness, for using the tools that you've mentioned. And then allowing that then gives that space to explore feelings, allow feelings, and maybe these feelings may turn into words or actions. But also I'm aware that maybe it won't, that actually maybe it's not the time for words. It's not the time for expression in a sort of language way, but it might be a time where you can look at body language and it might be time for tears or angry expressions, or it could be time for hugs or just sitting alongside. So I think that sort of regulating yourself and taking a breath, taking a pause is what we can bring at that time.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I can't remember exactly the question I asked you, but I think my question probably focused on the child, and your response brings both child and grown-up in, that the grown-up isn't just noticing what the child's experiencing, the grown-up is noticing what they're experiencing as well. That they're in connection, so they're not alone. And you mentioned what that space. I love that phrase. Was that the space between?
Yeah.
Because when you said it, it made me think about pace. Everything that you said felt like you were slowing. I felt like as you were talking, reminded me of when you talked about the chair and how I kind of found myself settling back. Yeah. But you talked about what might emerge. And, I put it in my notes about it might be big anger, it might be extended crying, it might be withdrawal. And I was thinking about what that might activate in the grown-up alongside the child. You know, that you talked about body sensations for the child. I'm thinking about what that might bring up for the grown-up, and how actually our instinct might be to try and shut it down, what the child's expressing, not necessarily just because we might think, oh, that's bad for them, but actually it might be overwhelming for us. And I wonder about that, Denise. Could you say something about how to stay curious instead of reactive when our child's emotions stir up our discomfort?
Yeah. It's a very important question, and it's really about how do we stay centered, isn't it? And focused on our little one that's with us, when perhaps actually what they're talking about, what they're experiencing, what we're picking up from them, actually maybe reminds us of something about ourselves or the past. Maybe we can't even sort of connect with that, but we know that there's something inside that's sort of stirring. Again, I think it's going back to that word again, pause. You know, that sort of idea that when we pause, we can respond rather than react. You know, what I said before was, when we're with somebody in distress, when I'm with somebody in distress, I have very strong feelings of wanting to sort it out, you know, and I feel it in my bones, really. I feel it everywhere. But I know that I need to pause, and I need to regulate. I need to ground myself. And that can be in whatever way you find useful. For me, you know, it goes back to feeling my body in the chair and taking a breath, an intentional breath. I think also, I guess I've practiced knowing what's mine and what somebody else's.
That's lovely.
And I suppose that takes a long time. Well, for me, it's taken a long time.
Yeah.
To do that pause and then to do the check-in with myself. What on earth is going on here? You know, why am I feeling these big feelings? And yes, you've got your little one there with their big feelings. But I think I also recognise there's something perhaps going on inside me that perhaps doesn't necessarily belong with them in this situation. So I suppose I'm able to bracket it, you know, kind of think, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm thinking this, something's going on here. This is something for me to look at afterwards. In the meantime, there's a lot going on here, isn't there, Amy? But in the meantime, I also want to soothe myself. And I suppose I've learnt those things about compassion, self-compassion, and to use my breath. And I mean, I like putting my hand on my heart, and it's a warm hand usually. And I know that physiologically, amazingly enough, science proves that it does calm our systems down. I mean, we've got all this lovely research now, haven't we, to sort of say, and we can prove what we've always known, like what does a hug do? We know physiologically it does calm our systems down. So, yeah, but what I would say is that little part of you that was sort of activated, and I think if you recognise that, it's good to explore that at another point with either yourself, what was going on there, you know, the self-talk, or with a trusted friend, someone that knows you, to sort of say, this is what I noticed, I was all over the place. Yeah, does that make sense there?
I think it's lovely. I was listening to you at the Warrior Wizard. We've recently written an early years programme, And as part of that, you have to write a list of new words that you're introducing the children to, and give a definition so that those words become more familiar. And it was interesting, as you were talking, it felt like new keywords came out, and a real mixture, in there. Breath feels very important, grounded, hug. And if I suppose I kind of see those words next to each other, and that sense of noticing and pace. So thank you, Denise. Thank you for that. It feels familiar, losing our steadiness sometimes. We might snap, we might shut down, or walk away when we meant to stay. This can be called rupture, and it happens to all of us. Here's what I wanted to say, that rupture isn't failure, it's normal. What transforms rupture into something meaningful is repair. When we come back to our children to repair the rupture, we're teaching them something profound. Relationships can wobble and still be safe. Mistakes don't break connection. But I do want to pause here and wonder about something important. If you're noticing that ruptures are happening very frequently, or if the intensity feels beyond what you can hold, it might be an invitation to reach out for additional support. Not because you're failing, but because sometimes we all need more support to help us carry what we're holding. It may be helpful to think about the language of repair. It isn't necessarily about saying the right words, it's about genuine reconnection in whatever way feels authentic for your family. So it might sound something like, I got overwhelmed and I snapped. I don't like that I did that. I'm sorry. Or, that was about my own big feelings, not about you being too much. Or, I walked away when you needed me. That was about me feeling overwhelmed, not about you. I wonder how those sound to you. Sometimes your child may push away your repair attempt, which can feel lots of things. We've spoken about pace before, Denise and I know that we will speak about pace again. Sharing the message that you'll stay connected, that you're there when they're ready, lets them know you haven't abandoned them, but you're also not rushing them. Their nervous system might still be heightened, or they might be protecting themselves from being hurt again. For younger children who are still very dysregulated, this can feel especially tricky. You might need space to regulate yourself, but leaving them alone might not be safe either. I wonder about the balance of taking care of yourself and staying connected to them. What would help you in this moment? Maybe physical distance in the same room. Asking someone else to step in for a moment. Naming aloud what you're doing. Sometimes telling children we need a moment but we're not leaving them can help bridge that gap. What matters is finding your steadiness so you can return. And here's something else worth holding. The way we approach repair often has roots in our own story. This would be something we'd explore and hold space for if we were together. It might be that apologising to your child feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable, perhaps because it wasn't modelled for you in your own childhood. This is worth noticing. You might start small with a simple acknowledgement. That was hard for both of us. Or, let's try that again. Denise, I wonder, what shifts in children when they learn that relationships can wobble and still be safe?
I think it goes back to that very big word called trust. I think children learn that they can trust their special person, and I think they will learn that no matter what they do, they're still loved. And importantly, they learn that they can bring their whole self to that person, and their whole self will be accepted and loved. No matter whether they make mistakes, they'll feel safe in that relationship. And, you know, they'll know that they can rely on you, on the parent or the caregiver, to guide them and to be with them, to see them through their mistakes and their wobbles. And they'll know that they'll learn that other people make mistakes too, that we make mistakes as grown-ups. Their friends make mistakes, even their teachers will make mistakes. And importantly, they'll know that we can all repair those relationships if we want to, because they will have seen that modelling through their parents.
It's really funny. It just made me recall a story of my youngest being at school, and they were in a class discussion, and this is years ago, and one of the children said, oh, my mum never makes mistakes. And I was told after school, my youngest put his hand up and said, gosh, my mum makes mistakes all the time. I thought, oh, wonderful. I was imagining that this was going to be a private moment, but now everybody knows how flawed I am. But there is a beauty in that, isn't there? Because now when they make a mistake, it allows them to exhale.
Yes. And I think it's the same, isn't it? If we show our vulnerability to somebody, that enables them to share their vulnerability, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then that, you know, lends itself then to sort of compassion for ourselves and compassion for others. And if we're all so tight with, you know, trying to prove we're perfect, what does that give to our children?
Lovely. Creating space for wordless feelings and practicing repair aren't one-time fixes. They're something we build over time, conversation by conversation, wobble by wobble. Signs of safety might be small: a child choosing to sit closer to you, sharing a drawing without prompting, or simply letting a feeling spill out without fear of being shut down. You might even co-create family signals together, colours, objects, gestures that say what words can't. It doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be yours. As always, I want to pause here and hold something important. You're there with your child, noticing their unique expressions, understanding their particular needs, and holding the context of your family's life. These conversations here are invitations to wonder. They're not instructions. If your child's struggles are affecting their daily life, or if you're concerned about their well-being, then please do reach out to a trusted professional. We're here to wonder alongside you, but you remain the expert on your child, and that expertise is precious, and it's something we want to honour as we explore together. This week, you could try noticing the ways that repair already shows up in your family. It doesn't need to look big or fancy. Repair is often found in small, ordinary moments that help you and your child feel connected again. It might be a gentle hand placed on a shoulder. For some families, it's a favourite song that resets the atmosphere. For others, it might be dancing in the kitchen or a shared smile, or even a familiar phrase that softens the edges. Whatever it looks like, it will be as individual as your family. The point isn't what form it takes, it's the message underneath, that we're human, that relationships wobble, and that's okay. What matters is that these moments become a bridge back to connection, reminding both you and your child that love holds even after a wobble. These chats are just beginnings. If you'd like to explore more, you'll find 2 other Worry Wizard podcasts inside In This Together, a year with the Worry Wizard. One is Worry Wizard Wonderings, a co-listen for you and your child at bedtime, creating gentle moments of connection. And the other is Wondering Together, just for grown-ups, so you feel confident holding what may emerge. Together, they're here to walk alongside you in the everyday ups and downs, the wobbly mornings, the tricky bedtimes, and everything in between. Denise, thank you for helping us remember that steadiness isn't about never wobbling, it's about coming back.
So true. Thanks, Amy.
As we close, I'm mindful of all that we haven't said today, all the specific scenarios, all the yes, but what if questions you might be holding. That's the nature of these conversations. They're invitations to wonder. They're not neat conclusions. Your family story has complexities we can't anticipate here, and that might not feel okay. When you're in the thick of it and wanting answers, needing to know what to do next, the space that's left can feel frustrating, even lonely. What I can say is this: we will return to chat together again. These conversations will continue. And in the meantime, trust yourself to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. You know your child in ways that our short time together never could. So as you step back into this week, notice two things: the way your child expresses feelings without words, and the moment when your steadiness wobbles. Instead of thinking I failed, why not try holding the thought, rupture is natural and repair is powerful? Because sometimes the most important message we give our children isn't that we never get it wrong. It's that when things go wrong, we can return, reconnect, and keep going together. I'm sending you well-being wishes from me, Amy, the Worry Wizard.
When you're feeling scared like nobody cares, I hope that you know that I will always be there for you. I'm here for you. And tell me what you're thinking, 'cause I want to know. When your heart is sinking, I'll be there to show with proof. I'm here for you. 'Cause I'll be your friend, an ear I'll lend. I'll tell you time and time again, it's true.